Every day when we look outside our windows, we see nature. And in that nature, we see mathematics. Every living thing has been created using a sort of math. Everywhere in nature, we see a sequence. The Fibonacci Sequence. A series of numbers that appear in aspects of our world, such as leaves, conch shells, and most famously, the sunflower. But what if I were to tell you that we can see sequences in sports? Oh, you heard me right. These sequences are known as highlights. Day in and day out, we see more spectacular plays. Some are a repeat of the past, while others are doing it completely differently. Some bigger, some better, spectacular, stupendous, unbelievable, and most importantly, unpredictable. And that's what separates sports from nature. Unpredictability. But in reality, all of that is simply the sequence getting bigger and bigger. Join us now as we discover new numbers in the sequence. Tune in right now for the excitement of the Fibonacci Sequence. Hello and welcome to the Fibonacci Sequence, where we take a look at some of the naturally occurring phenomena of sports, more commonly known as highlights. I'll be your host today. My name is R Square here in the studio. The Fibonacci Sequence is, of course, a highlights show where we take a look at some of the best highlights each and every week. Consistently Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on the Exponential. But along with being a highlights show, it is also an awards show. You're going to get the opportunity to say in the comments down below exactly which highlights you want to see that are going to be put into that intro that you just saw just a few moments ago. And you'll get to see all of that each and every single week. For more details on this specific episode of The Exponential, episode 3, you should go on and head down to the description for some fun facts about the episode. I notice not many of you have been going to look at the description. That could be because you're not subscribed, or it could just be because you don't look at the description. But go look at the description. I highly recommend it. There's some fun stuff over in there. Now, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into our first category of the day. It's called The Sequence Repeats, where we take a look at some of the things in the sequence that may repeat every so often, like that 1-1 at the beginning. So we saw a couple of repetitive things happen this week. Let's go ahead and get into it, where we take a blast to the past, or should I say, more in the present, as we head down to Minute Maid Park. In Houston, Texas. Let's head on down there right now. This is Carlos Correa, and Carlos Correa spent most of his career with the Houston Astros, including winning the World Series with them in 2017. But then he moved on in life to the Minnesota Twins in 2022. Here are some images of him winning the World Series there and hoisting the Commissioner's Cup, but his tenure in Minnesota came to an end this trade deadline as he was traded back home to the Houston Astros. And earlier this week, he had his grand reunion with the Houston Astros at formerly known as Minute Maid Park. I will never call it Daikin, I don't care. And at Minute Maid Park, we saw him reunite, and he got one of the loudest standing ovations you'd ever see in your first at-bat. I mean, this is a legend, coming back wearing a new uniform that he's never worn before in those Stros jerseys, but he looked good in it. He felt at home. He looked at home. And Carlos Correa being back in Houston was amazing for the fan base. It was one of those deadline acquisitions that just made too much sense. Now let's take a look at some of the sights and sounds from Correa's first at-bat back in Houston.
Bust it!
Such a surreal moment for Carlos Correa as he made his return to Houston. But there was another former player who made his return to Houston, and that guy was Alex Bregman. The now Boston Red Sox had been with the Astros for a long time, winning not one World Series with them, but 2 World Series with them. And Alex Bregman made his return, but the Astros fans were nice and gave him an ovation as well. Alex Bregman made them regret it, though, because still in that first at-bat against Javier, he was making the Astros fans feel some things as he sent a ball to the stars and right back down for a 2-run home run to get Boston on the board early. And this one can't feel good for Astros fans as later on boos rained down for Bregman. You're not a member of this team anymore, but Correa is. It was an incredible debut game for both of them back in Houston, and it led to many memories. There was another sequence happening over in Milwaukee, however, because the Brewers had gone on a dominant 8-game streak. They started off by beating the Nationals 16-9, 8-2, then 14-3, then went over to Atlanta and walloped the Braves 3-1, 7-2, and 5-4, then proceeded by beating the Mets 3-2, and then again 7-4. But they were pushed to the brink in Game 3 of that Mets series. They're down 5-0, and William Contreras is at bat in the bottom fourth, but Contreras is not willing to give this one up as he sends one deep to left and out of here. Contreras gets the Brewers on the board.
Bernie hits the slide.
Brew is not willing to say bye-bye to this 8-game
Mets. That's a guy the Brewers would love to get hot right there.
And there's the start in this ball game, trying to come back.
Then we have
so now
Danny
2 outs,
Jansen
and here's Danny
next.
Jansen.
Danny Jansen
Rips one down the left field line.
Gets one over to left, and he gets a man on third, and he will stay over on first. But it almost doesn't get there, but Ronnie Mauricio is safe.
It's a big opportunity for the Brewers here, trailing 5-1,
and the bases are loaded for Joey Ortiz.
Then later on, the bases are loaded. Joey Ortiz hits one just in between second and third, and will cash in not one, but 2 for the Milwaukee Brewers. And Joey Ortiz, the 2 RBIs there. Next up, William Contreras is back again. He says, Contreras hasta la vista. And a 2-run home run to make it 6-5. The Brewers aren't going anywhere. They're trying to make this game. They're not willing to give up hope on this 8-game win. It's been dominant.
Don't
they
look
want
now. The Brewers at one point in this ball game against Ryan Helsley.
Pitch. To extend that streak up to 9. Joey Ortiz then hit one over towards right field and cashed in another run to tie it 6 apiece. Bottom of the 9th inning, Isaac Collins is at bat for the Brewers.
He's 2 for 4.
He's got a chance to end it.
Fly ball to
and
deep
he
right.
sends one deep and says, I call this one in. Collins calls it in.
Isaac Collins walks it off against the Mets. You can't make it up.
They weren't willing to give up. And then later on, they won that one 7-6, then beat the Pirates 7-1, and then smoked them 14-0. But in their final, top of the 9th, in the 3rd game, you'll see why this is so important. A double play to get out the 2 Pirates players. Tobias Myers is the pitcher. 2 outs, man on first base for the Pirates. This is so important because it is long in the Brewers' lore that if the Brewers win 13 straight games, we see up against Alex Canario, that's 1 ball. If they win 13 straight games, free burgers for the entire city of Milwaukee, courtesy of George Webb. That's right, free burgers for the entire city. Tobias Myers' second pitch, 2 balls, no strikes. You see, the last time this was achieved was back in 1987, where George Webb sold 170,000 burgers to the people of Milwaukee. They've only done it one other time since then, and that was a combination postseason and regular season run. Tobias Myers gets the first strike, 2 balls, 1 strike. Brewers fans are on their feet for free burgers. The Pirates need 7 runs without an out to stop the Brewers from their burgers. Tobias Myers, third pitch, swing and a miss, 2-2 count. And the Pirates not looking too good. It kind of looks like the commentators are getting ready for their burgers, as they already have them ready, courtesy of George Webb, and it looks like the entire city will be joining them. And they're all saying, "We want Webb." 12-5, 2-2 count. 2 outs, man on first. Canario, that's a ball. Now the count is full. They're saying, "Warm up the grill because the Brewers are on fire," which is true. This 12-game streak has been otherworldly, one of the best we've seen in recent memory. Then Alexander Canario, no matter what, this is it. He's swinging a miss. Free burgers for Milwaukee. Fire up the grill. Second time in franchise history, single season. 13 in 1987, as I just said, is a 12-game winning streak for the Brewers. They're getting George Webb. And this sequence repeated 12 times, but soon to be 13 times, if I had to guess. So the Brewers are getting burgers and George Webb. Congratulations to Milwaukee. What a streak this has been. Back to you, down on the field, R-Square. Thanks, R-Square in the studio. You're down with me, R-Square on the field. And I don't think I've ever been any more on the field because I am in front of a giant 6-foot wall, which is honestly almost twice my height because I'm very, very short. But on a semi-related note, this wall's not easy to jump, let alone have the concentration to jump over it and catch something in midair. Well, let me tell you, I have a question because that is some robbery if someone's able to do that. Wait. Is 911 in the sequence? Oh, wait, I forgot. That's the name of the segment, not an actual question. This one's called Is 911 in the Sequence? This category is reserved for the very best home run robberies of the week, and we got a pair of good ones coming your way. Let's head on down, even more on the field, in live action. Let's get on into it. Over in Globe Life Field, 3-2, bottom of the fifth, hits Zach Wheeler up against Corey Seager. Corey Seager has a hit deep towards right center. It's looking good, it's not looking good anymore. Harrison Bader plucks this one right out of the sky in the sitting position. That's an 8-foot wall, ladies and gents. He jumps right over it and takes a rest on the way. I mean, look at it, he just takes a seat. Comfortable. Meanwhile, over in Atlanta, Jen Paywall was making her MLB umpiring debut at first base, and in the top fourth, Agustin Ramirez hits one deep towards left on Waldrop. It's over the wall, but he is too, as Jurickson Profar nabs one in the most spectacular fashion. As he basically takes the wall with him as he jumps over, nothing can confine him. And Matt Olson's like, what on earth just happened? The dugout is going crazy. Jurickson Profar is just like, I always had it. Yeah, I always had it. I mean, he goes right over the wall. Nothing can hold him. If he goes over the wall, that's still a home run, right? But he had the concentration to make the grab and pull himself back down. Just in the nick of time to rob this home run. Incredible. Waldrop was in shock, and the dugout was loving it. Back to you in the studio, R-Square. Thanks, R-Squared on the field. You're back here in the studio with me, R-Square in the studio. Our next category is called The Outliers. It's reserved for the forgotten, for the disregarded, phenomenal plays that may go unnoticed by most, but won't go unnoticed here at the Fibonacci Sequence. The Outliers is for those plays that you may not have seen this past week. So why don't we go ahead and jump on in to The Outliers. But this one's starting in a different sport. Most of these highlights are baseball. But we're going to take a look over in the National Football League, where preseason week 1 got kicked off, and I was so excited for that. But there was something even more exciting, because this was the first time for a lot of rookies to be taking the field. And one of these rookies had himself quite possibly the best first play you'll ever see. Let's go over to Gillette Stadium for the New England Patriots and rookie Travion Henderson. Over in New England, the Patriots are getting set to take on the Washington Commanders, and the kickoff in the brand new kickoff format is going to be returned by Travion Henderson. Henderson looking good. He splits through the first gap. He's got 2 men to beat. He'll turn on the Jets, and he could go all the way. Travion Henderson, welcome to the NFL. 1 play, 1 touchdown, 1 Patriot rookie. This guy is making a name for himself already. Wait a minute, what's this? This is so awkward. I mean, is this brother and sister? Are they a thing? Like, I don't even know what's happening there, but it was so awkward nonetheless. I felt like I had to point it out. Anyway, Travion Henderson over here splits right through the gap and then turns on the Jets and books it down the sideline for a Patriots touchdown. What a way to start your rookie campaign. Congratulations, Patriots. But we had another encounter over in Miami where we saw, this is Cleveland, where we saw another performance happening, and that's Jacob Marcy hit a home run in the top of the first inning, 3-run home run. Doesn't look too impressive, but then again, he just did it up against a guy who had a near no-hitter a week ago, and he hits one deep towards right and out of there. So that's his first hit of the day, got the Marlins up early. Jacob Marcy. We just called this guy up not that long ago. He called up on August 1st. He's been in the league 2 weeks, but he got off to a pretty strong start. He's 1 for 1. He had a 3-run home run. Then he hits one towards second, which goes for a single. However, that single ended up turning into 1 more as he steals second with ease, as he's got a stolen base there. He's got impressive speed, this new guy, Jacob Marcy. I'm a fan, personally. Then we saw a deep hit, and Marcy recorded an out. He's a good defender, too. He plays center field for the Marlins, so he makes an incredible out there. Then later, third at-bat, Marcy out of here, same spot. He's got 2 home runs, and that cashes in another 2 runs on the 2-run homer there, as he's responsible now for all but 1 of the Marlins' runs, as he's off to a blazing start against the Cleveland Guardians. But it doesn't end there for Jacob Marcy, because this is only the top of the 5th inning. Because he's at bat again in the top 6th. Marcy hits one deep towards left, on the foul line towards left field, and gashes in 1 run, 2 runs, and safe at second. He cashed in a remarkable 7 runs for the Marlins in the game against the Guardians. So impressive, this young guy. He's been around only 14 games, and his family was absolutely loving it. Let's take a look at his stat line from these games. As in his time as a Marlin, he has been incredible. He's only struck out 9 times. He's got a .436 batting average. This guy is absolutely incredible. Loving to have him on the Marlins. Back to you on the field, R-Squared. Thanks again, R-Square in the studio. You're back here with me, R-Square down on the field. Now we've come to the grand event, the pinnacle of the Fibonacci sequence each and every week. We got the golden ratio, made for the best highlights that we see all around the sporting world each and every week. And let me say, something about this one feels a little cold. I mean, it's really cold here, and here I thought it was summer. Wait, school just started, didn't it? Aw, man. Anyway, on a related note, there was a team that got schooled by a chilly old friend. Some people call him a bear. Wink, wink. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and get on down to the first highlight, but we're going to go somewhere a little warmer because it's getting really cold. Let's head on over to where the Los Angeles Angels are taking on the Los Angeles Dodgers. Over in Los Angeles, we saw Shohei Ohtani up against his former team as he hits one over to second base. That's 1 out, that's 2 outs, and boing! That's 3 outs! A triple play for the Angels has the stadium fired up. Shohei Ohtani really can do it all. Home runs, singles, doubles, pitching, allowing triple plays. You see him sulking over there in the corner. That's the MLB's highest paid players, folks. And the Angels were on their feet after this one. That's 1 out, 2, and then doing 3. I mean, Dalton Rushing got absolutely nailed on the back end of that play. Shohei Ohtani is still unhappy about the result of that one, as the Angels came away with the inning just as easy as 1, 2, 3. Quite literally, actually. That's 1 out, 2 outs, and then watch it again. Boing! Dalton Rushing takes a slip and a bad fall. It had to hurt. This could have gone under worse fails for a lot of reasons, but the sheer defensive play was so impressive from the Angels that we felt like it deserved a spot here at the Golden Ratio. We had another event happen, however, maybe just as impressive, over in New York. Pete Alonso had the chance to break Darryl Strawberry's 252 home run record. They're tied right now, and he had the chance to break it in Citi Field against Spencer Strider in Atlanta. Man on first, 2 outs, bottom third. Pete Alonso at bat. Will they go crazy? The pitch. It's hit deep. He's the polar bear. Hear him roar. And the polar bear breaks the record. His 27th of the year and 253rd career home run. He's the all-time Mets leader in home runs scored, and celebration ensued at Citi Field. They've been waiting all week for Pete Alonso's moment to hit this historic home run. You're looking at a future Hall of Famer, folks. This guy has had an incredible career with the Mets. He beat Darryl Strawberry. And for those that don't know, he's won more World Series than Pete Alonso. But still an incredible performance from Alonso in his historic career. He now holds the franchise record for one of the most established franchises in Major League Baseball. That's gotta mean something. And Pete Alonso hitting 253. He's got the Mets fans on his side. Everyone in the dugout happy for their man. He's Pete the Polar Bear Alonso. He has passed Darryl Strawberry. We'll take a look at the other record holders. You see him giving a hug to everyone. Francisco Lindor, they've been together a long time. We saw more congratulations from fellow Mets players as he went into the dugout. Big hugs. Everyone wants a hug for Pete after he breaks this historic man's record. He's now in the record books for one of the most historic franchises. I mean, this is just an incredible moment. This is one of those things where you just don't forget it. Like, if you were at this game, you're not gonna forget this moment. As he gives a huge ovation from the crowd, as he waves his hat in the air, as he deserves this moment in the sun, as the polar bear is normally not too great in the sunlight, but he deserves this little moment in the sun in Citi Field. He may not like the heat, but he likes the applause. You see him taking a picture with a big sandal for the Mets. Congratulations to Pete Alonso. Incredible. Now, back to you, our square in the studio. Wow. I mean, just wow. Those are some incredible highlights there. Thanks, our square on the field, for taking us through the golden ratio there. I cannot wait to see what you guys vote on down in the comments down below, so you guys can tell us who to put in the intro, because again, I mostly had to select them this last week, and I don't like that too much, because who am I to choose these? I mean, I'm not hardly qualified enough to make that decision for us all, and I'm afraid, however, that golden ratio marks the end of episode 3 here on the Fibonacci Sequence. And as much as it pains me to say this is the end, but don't worry, we'll be back next week, same time, Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on the Exponential, where we'll be here each and every single week. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm our square in the studio, and we'll see you next time on the Fibonacci Sequence.